The hype for the next generation of consoles is building up, making fans wonder what Sony and Microsoft have in store for the future. Both companies are tight-lipped about their moves for the next generation. However, we're taking that time to speculate and theorize about what the new consoles will be and when we'll get to see them in action. One thing that is worth wondering is, what games will be the console sellers for each one? For all we know, there are games in development right now or have been confirmed to get released at some point that could fit this scenario. Today we'll be talking about PlayStation 5 and what titles could already be in development for it. The list we've compiled has already confirmed titles, and some we believe would be by the time the new PlayStation console launches. Feel free to comment with your own expectations and let us know what you want to see getting released on PlayStation 5. Make sure to subscribe to SegmentNext and hit the bell button to get notified whenever something new gets uploaded. I'm Wes Malik, and here are 15 video games that could already be in development for PlayStation 5. Horizon Zero Dawn 2. There's no reason to believe that a sequel to the 2017 Game of the Year nominee, Horizon Zero Dawn, will not happen. Guerrilla Games hasn't officially announced the existence of Horizon Zero Dawn 2, but when that happens, it will most likely be on PlayStation 5. The first game was well received from players and critics alike, making it a strong contestant for a console seller for the next Sony console. If that's to happen, then we might be looking at yet another possible Game of the Year. What better ground to work on for such a title than a next-generation console that can bring the graphics and gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn to its maximum? Uncharted 5. We've already talked about how Uncharted 5 could be in development. If that is happening, then it clearly can't be for the PlayStation 4. Why? Because Naughty Dog already has his hands full with The Last of Us 2, and it will take some time for the path to be cleared for a new huge title like an Uncharted one. We could theorize about Uncharted 5 being in development by PlayStation's new studio in San Diego in collaboration with Naughty Dog, but that would just be assumptions. Wouldn't Uncharted 5 be an excellent release console seller for PlayStation 5 though? God of War 2. 2017's God of War didn't only crawl its way into our hearts, but into the most successful video games of all times as well. Sony Santa Monica intends to continue the saga of Kratos and Atreus, and it will take a while though. If PlayStation 5 is supposed to release 1 to 2 years from now, then you can already tell that God of War 2, or whatever it might be called, will be on it. We can frown upon the idea of the sequel being away from release, but imagine what the next game will be like running on a next-generation console. Persona 6. Atlus has confirmed that Persona 6 is in production, a thing that filled the franchise's fans with anticipation. However, this doesn't mean that the game will release anytime soon. The gap from Persona 3 to 4 was approximately 8 years, and given the circumstances, the wait was worth it. If the development of Persona 6 is to take even half of the years the previous entry did, then we should expect it 1 to 2 years from now. Perfect candidate for a console seller for the PlayStation 5 if you ask us. Neo 2. A sequel to Neo has also been confirmed to be in development and received its first teaser trailer during E3 2018. Even if the development of the game started right after the release of the first one, it still has to be away from release. Koei Tecmo promised to show more of it soon, so there's no need to hurry here. Neo was released just 2 years ago, and its development took 7 years, which quickly translates to more than 3-4 years for its sequel too. Perfect timing for PlayStation 5 if what analysts expect for its release is true. Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt's next video game is arguably the most anticipated title with no release date for now. Its world looks huge and it pushes the RPG genre to another level. Given the company's history with The Witcher, it's only natural for Cyberpunk to be a masterpiece as well. The developers are creating the game with next-generation hardware in mind, so it only makes sense for it to release on PlayStation 5, even if it releases on PlayStation 4 at first. In fact, there's a big cast of titles that could follow the same release pattern, and we'll take a look at them later on. Gran Turismo. If one franchise is a staple for PlayStation, it's no other than Gran Turismo. Reportedly, the developers are working on a new engine for the next Gran Turismo title, be it GT7 or otherwise. With rumors that the next game will have ray tracing and will look more realistic than ever, due to that, we shouldn't expect the next title in the Gran Turismo anytime soon, making the expectations of it hitting PlayStation 5 instead even bigger. The Elder Scrolls 6. Ever since the release of of Skyrim. We waited for the day that the next single-player Elder Scrolls will be announced. Bethesda has been tight-lipped and sometimes negative about such projects being in development, and it wasn't before E3 2018 that we found out that Elder Scrolls 6 is indeed happening. However, Todd Howard made it clear that we won't see it anytime soon. It goes without saying that the next addition to the franchise will be developed with the next generation of hardware in mind, giving us one more reason to believe that it will release on PlayStation 5 as well. Starfield. Speaking of Bethesda, the company has another title in the works, the first original IP in 25 years. Starfield is an open-world sci-fi RPG that is as cryptic as the release of PlayStation 5 itself. We know that this one too is made for the next generation of consoles, even though its development started 2 to 3 years ago. If one game deserves to be released on PlayStation 5 rather than make a quick launch on current consoles, this sure is Starfield. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is released and Square Enix has no huge marketing periods for the foreseeable future, we can hope that the remake of Final Fantasy VII will finally shine. We don't expect the game to release anytime soon, which makes it only a stronger candidate for the PlayStation 5. Undeniably, its graphics deserve the best treatment in terms of hardware. Beyond Good and Evil 2. No one can deny that Ubisoft's Beyond Good and Evil 2 is an incredibly ambitious project. From what we've seen in its trailers, the game spreads across a massive world which can only be described as high-end. The Monkey program for Beyond Good and Evil 2 revealed that the game's platforms will be Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. However, director Michael Ansel stated that the platforms have not been announced yet and that the listing was due to a bug. Great way to drop the next generation console news. Dragon Age. BioWare is confirmed to be working on a new Dragon Age title, with no release date or platform availability for now. All we have to go around is a teaser trailer and some information from the developers. According to BioWare veteran Matthew Goldman, BioWare has recruited the strongest team yet in order to create the next chapter to the Dragon Age saga. Given the fact that BioWare is currently healing with a couple of different titles, we can expect Dragon Age to take some time before release. This makes it a perfect candidate for the PlayStation 5. The last 3 titles in our list are games that are already announced to release on PlayStation 4 but could easily get a PS5 version too. Given the fact that all 3 games have no release dates yet, there's a chance that they'll become the crossover between PS4 and PS5 exclusives. Let's take a look. Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch's Ghost of Tsushima has piqued our interest since day one of its announcement. Not only does this look like a world that we'd love to get immersed in, but its graphic fidelity is so high that we can imagine it being a PS5 exclusive. If we could bet on it, we'd say that there will be a version for both consoles. Death Stranding. Death Stranding isn't a title that is just now entering its development stage. In fact, it might be closer to getting released than we thought. Given the timing of its release though, and the graphics push it comes associated with it, there could be a PS5 edition of it in the works too. Nothing is confirmed, and the game is indeed stated to release for the PlayStation 4. Will Sony be content to just let Death Stranding go in a year or so and the new console expected to get announced? We bet that Sony has already thought of stuff like that when it comes to games like Death Stranding or Ghost of Tsushima. The Last of Us 2. Last but not least, we have The Last of Us 2, one of the most anticipated video games of our generation. There's still no release date, so it's only natural for us to expect it to pop on PlayStation 5 as well. If the second installment to the series comes even a little close to what its predecessor was, then the jump from one console to another is inevitable. The Last of Us made the leap from PS3 to PS4 with a remastered edition, something that might not even need to happen to its sequel at this point. We'll have to wait and see what Sony has in store for us on that matter. The announcement of PlayStation 5, or whatever it might be called, is still a mystery for us. Speaking of games that might release on the next generation console is a long straw since there are rumors about it releasing with backwards compatibility, something that negates the possibility of PS4 titles like the last ones we mentioned hitting PS5 with a new edition. Whatever the case, there's still a long road ahead of us before we find out what will happen. For now, enjoy your PlayStation 4 and all the games releasing for it before it gets added to your collection as another veteran. What other games would you want to see released for the PlayStation 5? Could Sony start teasing their next console this year? Let us know in the comments below. We'll read every single one.